What items are normal to have one of, but very concerning to have more than one of? Authentic human skeleton. What about pregnant people? Good joke. Rorschach would approve. I shudder every time I remember there is a skeleton inside a fetus. It's significantly more disturbing when there isn't one. Shudder. People don't get bones till they're like 6 months old. WYM. One of my friends used to get constant headaches, migraines. Finally, when he was about 25, a specialist sent him for MRI or something. Turned out he had additional pieces of bones in his skull. And the conclusion was he was a twin, but he absorbed the other and had pieces of sibling in his head. Imagine your twin threatening to lobotomize you from the inside. What it's like to grow a second skeleton. That place was fascinating, but I don't want to set foot in there ever again. Genuinely felt nauseated multiple times. Though I was still a teenager at the time, and I feel like my constitution has improved since. I feel like if I went on a date with anyone other than a doctor and they had a skeleton, I would be concerned faces. So are we talking like a Janice situation or more like Harvey Dent? Harvey Dent. Can we trust him? No, we're not doing this again. Or maybe Professor Quilham. Interesting question, 'cause that's technically a two people, loose definition of people in one body. I guess it still counts as two faces though. Personality. Our thoughts exactly, comrade. I'm not in a crazy house, it's a crazy home. I like cats, especially with mayo. I have a bazillion different laughs. Does that count? You win, we all win. Even the username man wonder what happened to expatriate_I. This comment has more upvotes than my post. Lol, this is a good question. It'll get more upvotes, but does it have more personalities? Copies of the Wu-Tang Clan's Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, but it's for the children. I feel like I'd be weirded out if someone had a ton of toasters. My mill has like 5 air fryers. I'll never understand why, because she doesn't cook or actually use them. Maybe she keeps getting them as a gift. It is a popular way to heat up frozen food. My in-laws hoard free shit regardless of needing it. We have a lot of charity organizations here because of wildfire devastation, and I'm pretty sure she's getting them through those. Wow, your in-laws suck. I got them a toaster. They called off the wedding and gave the toaster back to me. I tried to return the toaster to the store, and they said they no longer sold that kind of toaster. So now my house has got 2 toasters. I tried to return the toaster to the store, and they said they no longer sold that kind of toaster. Well then, it sounds like you need it more than I do. Finally, a comment answering the question how it was intended to be answered. There's one for me and one for the guest bathroom. Human heart. If you have 2 in a TARDIS, I'm up for it. Timey-wimey thing, but fezzes are cool. Fezzes, sometimes you just get that craving for a snack, ya know. In Japan, heart surgeon. Number 1. Steady hand. Antonio Banderas. Blow up doll. Don't go in my garage. Loader, do I see my father? Niblet. Can you blame them? A dick was waiting for someone to say that. Your time was 2 minutes and 28.6 seconds. Well, you did mark it as NSFW, so basically was just asking for it to be written. That's why I timed it. You may not be the hero we wanted, but you're the hero we got. So you sold someone's dick to a Krogan. Double trouble, one for my pants and one for my personality. Nobody tell him. That was confirmed to be a Photoshop. Concussions. 1 sucks and sets you back a bit, 2 within a short period of time can leave you paralyzed. The scary thing about concussions is that their effects are cumulative. Over your lifetime. If you get a concussion once when you're young, maybe even twice, you should be okay. But each one significantly increases your risk of long-term brain damage, even if they are many years apart. Protect your brain, folks. It's kinda important. I've had 4 in the last 5 years and a few others when a kid. Checks out LMAO. I've had 4 officially in my life, but a few years back I just bunked my head kind of hard on the fridge door and it messed my head up for a couple of weeks. I try to watch my head more these days, but it's scary. That's scary to think about. Not to press you too much on this topic, but is there a research article you could point me towards showing what these negative effects are? Honestly, just Google multiple concussion long-term effects, or something like it. It'll bring you to lots of studies and research, especially highlighting famous football players and early onset degenerative brain diseases. It's fucking terrifying. You don't even need a concussion, just a lot of hard bonks to the head, even without immediate effects. The damage is cumulative. It's called traumatic chronic encephalopathy. Worst part is you can't get a diagnosis until you're dead. They need to check the brain under the microscope. I'll fetch some papers, but there's even a movie about it, how the NFL tried to sweep it under the rug. Not that important, for most Redditors. Is it the concussion that causes the brain damage or the impact to the head, which sometimes causes the concussion? Just wondering. Thinking face. A concussion, by definition, means that the brain itself has suffered impact damage. It literally means there's brain damage, usually minor damage but damage nevertheless. And that damage never goes away. Unlike many other parts of your body, brain cells don't heal and regrow. So more concussions means more damage, and that adds up over time. Thank you for clarifying. I've had a couple concussions as a kid, got my head knocked around as a young adult. Now I'm 55. It's unlikely it'll happen again unless I walk into something, which is actually quite possible, so as you can imagine, having had impacts to the head as opposed to actual concussion was why I was wondering. Thank for taking the time to reply. Appreciate the information. Folded hands. Thumbs up. Smile. Well fuck, I knew I was a lucky sumbitch, but how short a period of time we talking? If you play a sport, you can get a concussion consultation and do a baseline of your cognition levels and such. It can be very helpful for determining how bad your concussion is. I'll never forget seeing a teammate forget how to talk because a concussion was so bad. Bruising your brain while it's already bruised doesn't just double the issue, it can lead to lifelong troubles. My mom had 2 concussions in 3 weeks and she was never the same. They were also not her first concussions, but those last 2 really did a number. I just read a book called Neurofitness. It's written by a brain surgeon. He talked about this in the book and said there's no given time between 2 that makes the second one dangerous, it really just matters if the first one is healed yet. So, as long as the first one is healed before the second one comes, you'll be as alright as a concussion will allow you to be. Also would like to know how short of a time. We're talking months or years here. It can also leave you with deficits that very closely mimic personality disturbances. You know, Bekasuyu, you knocked loose a few things that seemingly permanently disconnected. Fun as hell. A copy of Mein Kampf. Maybe not perfectly normal to have one, but I know a lot of normal people read it to learn about the way Hitler thought. But the moment I'd go into a house and see 2 copies. That's a no-no from me. My old literature teacher told us she had a copy. She was the loveliest lady and explained us that she got it and read it when she was in university for that exact reason, better understanding Hitler's thoughts. She said she even paid some serious money for it cause, at least where I live, in Italy, the book is of course not banned, but they only print it in very expensive formats as a way for it not to circulate too much. Never thought much of it. My teacher clearly dreaded reading it and didn't like having it in her house, just didn't like the idea of just throwing it away. I mean, if it's expensive I probably wouldn't throw it away either. I get you, 1 could be anything, but 2 is deliberate. Tongue wedding ring. I do have one official wedding band, but several silicone ones. Most of my friends have 2 to 3 of varied levels of durability and occasion. Silicone ones for physical stuff or wherever you'd be sad you lost it, and then fancy ones for events. For both the bride and groom. Married guy here. If I was going to be doing something where I thought it was in danger of being damaged, lost, I would just take it off and store it somewhere. I've literally never heard of that practice you're describing. How many people do you know that did this? It's a wedding ring, not a pacemaker. It's not critical if I need to take it off for a bit. My wife got a fancy, expensive engagement ring and wedding band. I bought very simple titanium ring on Overstock for $40. It never comes off. Never gets damaged, never needs cleaning, but I do have to pay attention to it scratching other stuff like the bathroom mirror or my car door. Same here, she has a nice one, I have a simple band. But it's never once crossed either of our minds to have a spare. Not once in my life have I ever heard someone say something like, going scuba diving today, better use the backup ring. Why not just leave it at home? Seems like some really bizarre, don't let me catch you not wearing some form of announcement of our commitment. Shit, it's really common for certain professions. Particularly healthcare and trades. My husband has tons. The one I bought him for our wedding, black carbon, and the one he bought for the wedding, silver, then tons of silicone ones. I like to buy fun colors and have messages put on them. He wears different ones to work every day. His favorite says, "Sorry bitches." I have two, my engagement ring which we also used as my wedding ring, and the exact same ring .25 smaller for in the winter. I just about never wear my gold one. I usually have my black silicone one, if I even remember to wear it. One wedding band for each day of the week, to match my wife for that day of the week. That's cute as shit and just the right amount of extra. Until you realize it's a different wife each day of the week. Real talk though, I wish I could afford to do this with my fiancé. Plumbus, after learning how they're made, I like to have one from each factory. Concerning, or just extravagant. With the price of Fleeb juice these days, extravagant as hell. Also, Plumbuses can sense other Plumbuses within a rather large range, which can sometimes impair their performance. So having multiple means you're just using them as decoration. Total fat cat flex. Above the Law on DVD starring Steven Seagal. If you own a single copy of this movie, I'm automatically concerned. Even if you are keeping burnt shards of a copy, I remain concerned it was even attempted. On that note, unopened copies of the 2005 animated movie Robots. Human hearts. Really, any human organs that aren't already a pair. Actually, having more than one musical organ is a bit weird too. 1 passport, good to go. 2 passports, who are you trying to fool? 3 passports, you're definitely up to no good. I have 2 passports. And 2 birth certificates. For a few years, 2 driver's licenses. And 2 high school certificates because each is accepted in only one country, so I had to redo high school to get a job in each country. Why? I have 2 cause I have dual citizenship. Lol, who are you trying to fool? How does it work when you travel? Do you have to get both stamped? You typically use only one, the one with the least hassle to travel with to the other country. If you are a citizen of your destination country, you must usually use that passport. Doing the same for me unfortunately does not work since my name is different on my passports, but the plane ticket only has one name on it. So at time I have to use one passport coming in but a different one going out, and it always causes some trouble at the border. Friend of my sister tried to enter the US using her UK passport because she wasn't thinking, and they got very irate when they asked her when she was planning on leaving, and she was like, "Never. I live here, I have a Canadian and European passport. Normally, I use the Canadian, but if I'm in Europe, I switch because the lines are so much shorter." Suspicious glare. A friend of my dad had like 4 or 5 citizenships. Basically he had moved around a lot for work. Lived in some places, got residency and then citizenship, and some places don't let you renounce. It was a long time ago, but I think it was he wanted 2 of them because one was where he lived currently and one was where he was born, and then he had 2 he couldn't renounce. Honestly, if your dad didn't work for the CIA, that's a missed opportunity right there. Friend of my dad. He was an engineer. Well, if he worked for the CIA, that wouldn't be a bad cover-up, just saying. Tri-national gang. I have 3 but one is basically useless. Looking at you, Venezuela. Never met anyone with more than 1 citizenship, I take it. I have 2 passports. I swear it's for work. Nothing sus here. Isn't there a guy who's trying to collect every passport of every country? Why? I have 2 passports and one of them is definitely not fake. Identities, license plates, on the same vehicle. Cell phones. Sclerosis. I have to use a phone my work provided while carrying around my personal phone, so sometimes I like to pretend I'm Jason Bourne who has to hide in an old person's home to get away from the government. Is it really okay to have a single sclerosis? I think that's still bad. It's not that uncommon for people to have a personal phone and a work phone. My husband has 3 cell phones. I think he might be a crime boss. It is the law where I live that every car need 2 license plates. Front and back. Not concerning. There are 2 license plates on a vehicle, one on the front bumper and one on the back on a regular car. Now 2 different number plates on a car is very much concerning. Microwave. Somewhere I watched a video where someone put a microwave inside a microwave and both were on. And a friend's parents in college had 2 microwaves. One above the stove and one on the counter. Above stove one broke but needed the hood part of it, so they left it and got a cheap counter one. Stored bread in the ABOE the stove 1 lol Facts concerning Orthodox Jews usually have 2 since they can't mix milk or meat. Might be stupid, but why would they need an entire second microwave? Can they not put any meat product in a microwave that's ever had milk, vice versa? Nope, they can't. It's BS, but things that are metal or plastic or wood or ceramic when heated up with meat in or on them become meat dishes. Same goes for the metal of a microwave. Huh, that's interesting, I had never heard of that, thanks for letting me know. Usually, might be a bit of a stretch. Most Jews I know don't keep kosher. Edited it to say Orthodox a heart monogamous. Relationships. Poop knife. Please enlighten me, what is a poop knife? Some turds are so big that they can choke the toilet, so they're cut in half, with a knife. Thank you. Today I have learned some questions are better left unasked. Lol, you are welcome. Like a toe knife, but for poop. If you have to ask you'll never know, but if you know you'll never ask. Smartphones. 1 IR normal, 2 maybe you use one for job and one for living, but more, did you stole them or what are you trying to hide? A wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend. You can be like that guy from Japan with 35 girlfriends. He told them all a different birthday so he got presents year-round. This sounds like something a 6-year-old would decide to do when he grew up. Well, I never became an astronaut, so I've got to hand it to him for the follow-through. Yes, I only have one of each of those. As long as they're all consenting. Polygamy is a thing in some places, so is polyamory. I guess I've got 3 more to go. Would it not have been just easier to type in romantic partner? Either way, doesn't take in consideration that there's polyamory. That people aren't items. Last will and testament nonsense. I keep one with my attorney for when I die, and one at home, so anyone poking around will decide that they won't gain anything from my death. Buttholes. Skeletons. Heads. Doors leading to the basement. A human head. Swimming pools in one house. Personalities. Reddit accounts. 1 is normal. The second is always for stuff you don't want people to see on the first and is always questionable. Okay, but like I'm queer and have like my one that's totally normal and has like pics of my dog and memes and stuff, and then I have this one that has gender and sexuality stuff. Patriotic merchandise. You have an American flag shirt. A little weird, but fine. You have 3 shirts with white Jesus on them captioned, Jesus was a conservative. Seek some mental help. A wand. Only 1 wand for which wizard unless you win it from an opponent. Penile implant. Everyone in here chose to ignore the items part. A digestive tract. Therapists. I actually have 2. I have one who specializes in eating disorders and one who specializes in trauma. It's not common, but it's also not bad. Sure, but then who are you going to talk about your first therapist with? I had to get a new therapist and his first question was, so, what happened with your previous therapist? I simply replied, oh, he died. Crickets. I hope this is not too concerning. I'll have to talk to my therapists about this. Really, should I have 3 RN lol?